I'm Pastor Sarah with the Journey Church in Moncton, New Brunswick, and this is my blog, Faith at Home, Not Alone. And this month we've been talking about children going back to school and anxiety and just all those big emotions that they can be feeling this time of year. And I think as parents we can feel them as well. We don't like to see our children experiencing pain or painful experiences, and sometimes we want to kind of hurry them along or get them out of that so that they're not feeling it, we're not feeling it, and we just want that feeling of peace and that everything's okay. But we're learning that anxiety is actually an everyday real part of life, and we want to be able to name what's going on so we can tame it, and that we don't have to become overwhelmed by our feelings of anxiety or fear or being unsettled. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about a faith at home practice that you can do with your child, and I would suggest getting a really good children's Bible. In my previous posts I've reviewed some of those and mentioned some of those, but feel free to reach out if you have any questions on some good ones. But really taking a story, and especially for a topic of anxiety, I think of the story in Luke where Jesus and the disciples are in the boat and the storm comes on, and there's a big storm coming up, and the disciples are terrified. They're definitely feeling anxious and afraid for their lives. And then they call out to Jesus, and he stands up and he calms the storm. And you can find that in Luke chapter 8. You could also look up a YouTube video. There's some great little video clips of that, and if you go to my blog you'll find a link for that. But as you talk through that story with your child, really try to enter in. So as you read through it, talk together about the scene. What would it feel like to be there? What would it look like? What do you think the sky looked like? Do you remember a time where there was a big storm and we heard the wind and how that made us feel? Picturing how they were in their little boat in the big ocean, and just kind of really getting into the story. And then talking about what would it feel like being a disciple in that boat? How would you feel? Would you feel scared? Maybe there's some other feelings that we can identify. And then how would we feel when Jesus stood up and calmed the storm? What would it be like? Even take a pause and experience the silence for a moment, and picture the clouds rolling away and the water being still, and what that would feel like. And then talk about what it was like that the disciples were in a scary situation, but Jesus was reminding them that they were not alone. Even though they thought they were alone because Jesus was sleeping, they weren't actually alone. Jesus was with them the whole time. And then we can remember that too. So if your child's particularly anxious at school, maybe come up with a short prayer that they could say when they're feeling anxious. They could say, "Dear Jesus, I'm feeling anxious right now. Please help me know that you're with me." And just get them to even practice that, pray it together. And what you're doing is you're giving them a tool that reminds them that they are not alone, that any time of the day, whether they're at home or at school or somewhere else, that they can remember that Jesus is with them, that they can express what they're feeling to him. When they're at home, they can express it to you as well. But just knowing that they have a place that they can express that, and that God loves them, he cares for them, he's concerned about them. And those are some ways that we can be teaching our children to understand that God's love for them isn't just in certain places and times, it's everywhere. Another aspect of faith at home is for us as parents, that we need to be living out what we're teaching. I think we've all heard the expression, don't do what I'm doing, do what I tell you. But the fact is, the kids will do what they see us doing more than what they hear us saying. So we as parents need to be learning how to deal with our anxiety in this way as well. We need to be able to name what we're experiencing, recognize the physical experiences that we're having, the tightness in our chest, maybe the part of our body that's tight or tense, and bring that to God and say, okay, God, what's going on right now? What's happening? And really letting Him speak into us. And as we grow in doing this practice, we're really able to model it as well as teach it to our children. Again, I think we often want to just ignore our anxiousness. We want to get out of it. We don't want to be in that situation. But it really changes things when we can pause, take that moment, come before God and say, God, I'm struggling right now. I'm really feeling anxious about this situation, and really inviting Him into that place with us. God is really going to do a work in our own life in making us more aware of His presence, of His Spirit at work in us. And it just really changes how we approach these anxious and fearful experiences for ourselves and for our children. So that's all I have to say for today. I hope it was an encouragement to you, that you have maybe a couple things to try at home. I'd love to hear from you, maybe some things that you're doing or that you've been trying. Yeah, please post those or email me, Sarah at onthejourney.ca, and let me know. And if there's any other questions or thoughts or ideas, I'd love to hear those as well. So be sure to go to our website, onthejourney.ca, to find more blog posts. You can check out more of my vlog on YouTube or social media. And just remember, this idea of practicing faith at home is something we want to be doing every day. It's intentional. It's about our faith as well as our children's, but we're not doing it alone. We're here in community together, and I'm here to encourage you, and you're here to encourage me as well. So have a great week.